to film all access through West Africa's busiest airport, the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos. Thankfully, Mr. Dati and his team were at hand to make things run smoothly. The Murtala Mohammed International Airport is, it's been said that it's the busiest in West Africa.
Yeah.
How important is the airport to Nigeria?
Well, it's very important. In the first place, Nigeria plays a key role when it comes to the continent of Africa, because in population, we are number one. And based on the recent rebasing of the economy, Nigeria is up there. So whatever activity that happens is very key and affects other African countries, particularly the Murtala Mohammed Airport. It links the whole of the African sub-region, and that is why the massive expansion work that is ongoing also includes building a brand new terminal.
As it clearly appears, airlines can only fly where there is equipped infrastructure to accommodate their services. With the Lagos Airport expansion plans, much more business can be anticipated to the benefit of the aviation sector and the country as a whole. Seems like the right step in the right direction. Not to be left back in time, the Discovery team gets up to speed with the times. E-commerce has speedily emerged onto the continent like a bolt out of the blue. Africans love cash, and Lagos has been a cash economy for as long as cash first turned up. The government has been pushing for a cashless economy, but what many didn't see coming is the new online addiction, which seems to be wiping out traditional trade habits along with the cash in between. Africa Online was an insightful look into the new trading measures being adopted in Africa, thanks to Iroko TV, wakanow.com, and Jumia. Hey Jason.
Nice to meet you.
How's it going? Sorry I'm late, man. There's a bit of traffic.
Nah. It's Lagos.
Yes it is. Lovely establishment you have here.
We try.
Yes. Could you tell me a little bit about the history behind Iroko TV?
Really simple. There was a huge amount of value in Nollywood, especially online and the distribution of it. No one really tried to take advantage of that. In 2010, I jumped on a plane from the UK and spoke to enough producers, enough sort of stakeholders to understand that it was just a big dislocation between the value of Nollywood and the distribution of it. So I thought I'd just sort of create a company which sort of satisfied that need, and essentially there's what you basically see today. So we started in a very small room in Festac, and now we're 2 floors in Anthony, about 100 people or so.
How important is brand awareness for your company?
It's like any human encounter and mere human relationship. You want to present yourself, introduce yourself the most politely and the most honestly as possible. But in the end, it's not the way you introduce yourself that matters. It's the service you deliver.
Right.
It's what you do for people once you have engaged them. And so this is why for us, marketing is important for people to get to know us. But above everything else, the customer experience when they first purchase their product with us, that they make their first purchase or they come back, is for us even more important.
If there was a genuine reason to keep making sincere discoveries this season, one of them would be in finding our subject Odu on higher learning. Education has always been a soft spot for journalism, and while we weren't sure of what we were going to find, our expectations were surpassed with the charisma, persistence, and determination of the Bariga-based University of Lagos student, who did all to defy the odds and educational challenges in parts of sub-Saharan Africa. As a student of a Nigerian university, what are some of the hurdles to learning that you face on a daily basis?
I think for anyone to learn effectively, there has to be a very good learning environment. So for example, you have a class where there are 300 to 400 students and then there is no public address system, or maybe it's there or it's not even working.
Right.
You know, and I think that is a major...
So you can't even hear what the lecturer is saying.
You can't even hear what the lecturer is saying. So
let alone learn something.
Exactly. Another thing I think is also, you know, not having the right enough funding for yourself, you know, to be able to maybe get enough books to read or eat well, because of course it might be very difficult to study when you have not eaten,
like,
you know.
Access to financial aid.
Exactly.
The Student Affairs Office in today's university system is a very challenging environment where you have to attend on a 24-hourly basis to all manner of requests and problems arising from interaction among students, challenges of accommodation, challenges of academic programs which students face, other extracurricular challenges such as a student having health problems or financial problems. All of these need to be attended to at all times for us to be able to actually attend to the issues of welfare affecting our student population.
How can the government come in to help?
By putting infrastructures on ground, the school environment must be good enough to teach the students. Equipment must be put in place. This will give the teachers enough opportunity to impact sound knowledge on the students.
Every young person at some point or another dreams of being a superstar, but as wise people would say, be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. The paradox of pop music in Africa was more of a voice of reason to the aspiring youth, who at times don't seem to see past the veil of stardom. Good afternoon, Ollie.
Hey.
How's everything?
Not bad, James.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Welcome to Beat FM.
Thanks for having me.
Grab a seat, my brother.
All right.
So we're talking music.
Yeah, so
Are you ready?
let's do it.
Let me just highlight one thing. You know, a lot of music that is produced contemporarily actually mirrors events in society. So people just generally sing from what they see around them. And you find that somehow that tends to predominate the lyrical content of the music. Now, in the 60s, 70s, people were singing really about freedom of Nigeria, countries in Africa, you know, apartheid and so on and so on. But now that isn't the theme of society.
You're a singer, songwriter, producer, multi-instrumentalist. In your opinion, what's the definition of good music?
For me, good music is music that touches the heart of people and also really uplifts people, the spirit of upliftment, I think, and raising people's consciousness. But I think the question about music, there are two things. Music can be entertainment, and that's a big part of popular music, entertaining people, you know, all of that. Music is also part of the spiritual tradition of holding knowledge and wisdom for a people. That's a cultural strain. It's different from just entertaining.
We thought it critical to engage in at least one health matter during the course of the season. Hence, the Silent Killer strand, which looks at high blood pressure. It's hard not to remember the senior marketing director at Fitsin and the walk up and down the stairs policy the organization cleverly enforces to keep the staff of the healthcare company in good health. And who would not have consideration for the Lasooth practitioner whose patients always recite, "I reject it," when diagnosed with visible ailments? It is well, as they say.
In Nigeria, it's estimated that 57 million people have hypertension.
That many?
That many, with many still undiagnosed for a variety of reasons. Lack of access, ignorance, meaning that people don't want to know if they have medical conditions, including high blood pressure. So you could see that it's a huge public health problem.
So in your experience, how does one cope living with high blood pressure?
Over 40 years I've been living with it. Just because I noticed it on time and I started taking my drugs religiously. Not today, take today, tomorrow you will not take. And checking it. If you are taking your drugs, of course you have to check whether it is going up or going down. I'm living with it, so people should not be afraid of it.
I gathered you have 6 floors here, and you also have a lift, but the lift isn't turned on until what time?
Until 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
10 a.m. in the morning, we resume here at 8 o'clock, but for 2 hours.
Everybody is forced to walk
up the staircase.
Even the people going to the 6th floor?
Even if you're going to the 6th floor or you're going down. And then the lift shuts at 5 o'clock so that when work is over, you don't take the lift down.
But you know, it's always easier going down than going up.
It's always easier going down, but you see, in the course of the day, you know, you just have to go up and down.
Many people also have this denial. You are told you have an illness, and the next thing is to probably say you reject it or some kind of yeah.
The season would have been thematically incomplete without an episode on football. Africans love sports, and one of Africa's greatest sporting nations had lost its mojo. Following a below-par outing in Brazil, Nigeria did not make it to the African Cup of Nations. The The great African soccer hope had slumped and wallowed away in its slumber. In a football fantasy, the team needed to find out not who, but what was responsible for the terminal state of one of the greatest footballing nations in the world. We arrived at some interesting answers.
What are some of the factors responsible for the dire state of the local football leagues in Nigeria?
Well, I think for me, essentially, there's one major problem. The major problem is that most of the clubs, particularly at the Premier League level and even below, are owned by, or substantially owned in some cases, by government.
Why do you think the stands are no longer filled with fans anymore? In the heyday, it seems to have been
First and
packed with
foremost,
fans.
I think number one is due to our economic problem. Secondly, the officiating aspect, because nobody will like to put his money where you know that team A and team B is going to play and team B is always going to win.
The local leagues clearly are in need of a bit of resurrection. And with Lagos being the center of league football in Nigeria, what are you guys doing to make this happen?
Well, at our level, what we're trying to do is to resurrect the feeder system. You know, in the past, you have icons, good footballers that attracts spectatorship.
Right.
So we found out that at the feeder level, it has collapsed.
Most of our boys now, they don't always stay long at home to play again. After small achievements at home, everybody wants to go abroad and play. What causes this, as far as I'm concerned, is the remunerations we are getting here.
Which is peanuts compared to...
Thank you. And the
abroad.
Economy too. That's compared to what they will get abroad. So everybody, after playing small game here, their next movement is foreign country.
And there we have it all. From champagne to trains to pop music and silent killers, the Discovery team and I will be back real soon to bring you another exciting season of Channels Discovery. In the meantime, you can chat with us on Twitter at CT_Discovery and on Facebook at Channels Discovery. And who knows, your discovery might just make it onto television. I'd like to give a special thanks to the whole production team for keeping me on the road, and of course, an extra special thanks to the good folks at Channels Television headquarters for making this whole thing possible in the first place. I'm James Layode, and until next season on Channels Discovery, it's goodbye for now.